I didn't believe in monsters until I saw one bleed. The first time I met her, the twin suns of Keeler Prime were setting, their dying light painting the desert with hues of molten gold. I was a contract engineer, one of those earthborn scavengers who came to alien worlds to strip their relics for profit. We'd been hired to dig through the remains of a forgotten battlefield, a place the locals called the Valley of Spears. They said ghosts walked there, old soldiers, old grudges. They were right. I was brushing the dust from a half-buried reactor coil when I heard the scream. It wasn't human. The sound tore through the thin air, something between a cry and a war horn. My partner, Ellis, stumbled out of the excavation tent, clutching his rifle. "Did you hear that?" he hissed. Before I could answer, the air shimmered. A figure emerged from the dunes, tall, armored in plates that shimmered like obsidian glass, her face masked by a smooth helmet shaped like a predator's skull. She moved with the grace of something born for combat, and in her hand was a blade longer than my arm, humming faintly with blue plasma. Ellis, being Ellis, raised his gun first. The alien warrior pointed her blade at him. Her voice was like steel drawn across stone. "Touch her again, human, and you die." At first I thought she was threatening me. Then I saw who she was talking to. Behind Ellis was a small alien child, pale-skinned, fragile-looking, eyes wide with fear. She'd been hiding in the ruins, covered in ash and dust. Ellis must have grabbed her when she tried to run. "Whoa, hold on," I shouted, stepping between them. "Nobody's touching anyone." But the warrior didn't lower her blade. Her gaze burned through the helmet's visor, locking on Ellis. The air crackled around her, faint ripples of energy bending the light. Ellis smirked, thinking he could bluff his way out. "Easy there, lady. We're just salvagers. The kids." The warrior moved before he finished. A blue flash split the air, and Ellis's rifle fell in two smoking pieces. He stumbled back, staring at the molten metal still in his hands. "She is not your salvage," the warrior said. "The beginning of the end." Her name, I learned later, was Rhea of the Kelry Vanguard, one of the last living soldiers of a dying species. The child she protected was Lyra, the final heir to a bloodline nearly wiped out in the Human-Kelry War, an old conflict fought decades before I was even born. We humans had won that war, or so the history files said. But as I looked at Rhea, her armor scarred, her movements sharp but tired, I began to wonder what winning really meant. She didn't kill Ellis. She could have. Instead, she told us to leave the valley. Her voice softened when she turned to Lyra, speaking in their language. Low, melodic syllables that made the girl stop trembling. I don't know what made me stay. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe curiosity. Or maybe it was the way Rhea looked at me, like she'd seen too many of my kind before and expected the worst. When I followed them through the ruins, she didn't stop me. Ghosts beneath the sand. We took shelter in an ancient bunker buried under the dunes. Its walls were etched with alien glyphs, their meaning lost to time. Inside were flickering consoles, dead generators, and the bones of old warriors. Rhea removed her helmet. Her skin shimmered faintly under the bunker's weak light, silver blue, almost metallic. Her eyes were bright amber, their pupils shaped like shards of crystal. Her face was both beautiful and terrible, the kind of beauty forged by war and grief. "You should not be here," she said quietly, tending to the child. "This world belongs to the dead." "I could say the same to you," I replied. "Why protect her? The war's over." Her gaze snapped to me. "For you, maybe. For us, it never ended." Lyra clung to her arm, staring at me with eyes too big for her small face. She couldn't have been more than 10 in human years. I realized then that the girl wasn't just someone Rhea was protecting. She was something important. A secret the Kelry had kept hidden since the war. And I had just stumbled into it. Middle, the machine below. Over the next 2 days, a sandstorm trapped us in the bunker. My comms were dead. Rhea wouldn't let me leave, but she didn't threaten me either. Instead, she watched me, measured, cautious. Lyra began to trust me enough to sit nearby, fascinated by my datapad as I tried to repair the power systems. It turned out the bunker wasn't just a shelter. It was a vault. Deep beneath it, sealed under layers of metal and alien script, was something alive. Machine. Or maybe a weapon. When I reactivated part of the power grid, I heard it. The low hum of dormant engines, older than any human technology. Rhea appeared beside me instantly, her blade drawn. "Turn it off," she ordered. "I just wanted to see what it does," I said, raising my hands. She pressed the blade against my throat, close enough for me to feel the heat of it. Her eyes were fire. "You play with things you do not understand. That is how your kind destroyed our worlds." I swallowed. "And what is it? What's down there?" For a moment she hesitated. Then, with a sigh heavy with centuries, she said, "It is called the heart of avarice. Living core. It was meant to bind our worlds together. The humans turned it into a weapon." Her voice broke slightly on the last word. A truth buried in ash. On the third night, as the storm raged above, Lyra fell asleep beside the old reactor. I sat near Rhea, nursing the last of my water supply. She stared at the wall, her expression distant. "We were explorers once," she said quietly. "We built bridges between stars. Then your armies came, saying we were too dangerous to exist. You called us invaders. But we only wanted to survive the silence." "Not all humans wanted that war," I said. "Most of us were told it was for peace." "Peace," she repeated, almost laughing. "You burned our cities in the name of peace." The guilt hit me harder than I expected. My grandfather had fought in that war. His medals were still displayed back on Earth. I'd grown up believing we were the heroes. But here, in the ruins, it was clear we were the villains in someone else's story. Then Rhea looked at me, truly looked. "Why did you follow us, human?" I didn't know how to answer. "Because I saw how you protected her. And I wanted to understand why." Her expression softened, just for a second. "Lyra is the last. The heart of avarice is bound to her bloodline. If she dies, the heart dies. The Kelry will be gone forever." She rose, pacing slowly. "Your corporations hunt her. They know what she carries. That is why we hide." Made sense now. The scavenger companies weren't just after scrap. They were looking for this child, this living key to alien power. And I was part of that machine. The betrayal. When the storm ended, my comms came back online. A message blinked on my wrist display. An automated ping from Ellis. "Got backup. We're coming to get you. Don't let the alien leave." My stomach twisted. If I told Rhea, she'd flee. If I stayed silent, Ellis would bring soldiers straight to the bunker. Either way, Lyra would be caught. I made my choice. "Rhea," I said quietly. "They're coming. Humans. A squad, maybe more." She froze. Her eyes hardened, but there was no fear, only determination. "Then we fight." "No, listen," I said, stepping closer. "You can't fight them all. You'll die." Her gaze didn't waver. "I would die for her." "Then let me help you," I said. "I know how they think. I can get you out." For a long moment she studied me, searching for lies. Finally she nodded. "If you betray us, I will kill you first." "Fair enough," I said. The escape. We moved through the ruins under the fading suns. using the canyons for cover. I led the way, watching the radar feed on my wrist. The human team was closing fast. 6 heat signatures, heavily armed. We reached an old transit tunnel half buried in sand. It stretched for miles toward the northern cliffs where an abandoned launch pad still stood. If we reached it, maybe we could steal a shuttle. But halfway through, the tunnel shuddered with an explosion. The humans had found us. "Move!" I shouted, pulling Lyra forward. Rhea stayed behind, firing bursts of plasma from her gauntlet cannon. The light from her weapon painted the tunnel walls in flashes of blue fire. Ellis's voice echoed through the comms. "Give us the girl, Mason. Don't make this harder." "She's just a kid," shouted back. "She's a payday," he snarled. A beam of energy scorched the wall beside me. Rhea deflected another shot with her blade, sparks flying. When we reached the exit hatch, I sealed it behind us. But the blast door wouldn't hold long. Rhea knelt beside Lyra, her armor cracked, smoke rising from one shoulder. "You will run when I say so," she told the girl. "Do not look back." Then she looked at me. "Take her to the launch pad. I will buy you time." "You can't fight them all," I said again. Her eyes softened. "Maybe not. But I can make them remember who we were." Before I could stop her, she turned and marched back into the tunnel, her blade blazing with light. The warrior's last stand. The sounds that followed were chaos. Gunfire, screams, and the deep humming roar of energy weapons. The tunnel glowed from within, flashes of blue and red lighting the night. Lyra clung to my arm, tears streaking her dusty face. "She'll come back," she whispered. I wanted to believe that. When the noise faded, silence stretched like a wound across the desert. Then, from the shadows, a single figure stumbled out. Rhea. Her armor was shattered, her blade cracked down the center. She collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. I ran to her, catching her before she fell completely. "You're alive," I said, half in disbelief. She smiled faintly, blood, silver and luminous, trickling from her lips. For now. Behind her the tunnel burned. The humans were gone. "Come on," I said. "We can still make it." The launch pad. We reached the northern cliffs just before dawn. The launch pad was ancient, half buried in sand, but one shuttle remained. An old Kelry vessel, its hull still intact. As I worked the control panel, Rhea stood beside Lyra, her strength fading. "The heart will awaken soon," she whispered. "You must take her far from here." "Where?" I asked. "To the stars. To where we began." The shuttle hummed to life, its engine sputtering. The deck trembled beneath our feet. Lyra climbed aboard, looking back at Rhea. "You're coming too." Rhea shook her head. "I cannot. My place is here." "No!" Lyra cried, reaching for her. Rhea smiled, kneeling. "You carry all that we were, child. Remember us." Then she turned to me. "Protect her. Swear it." I swallowed hard. "I swear." She touched my forehead, a gesture of her people maybe, and stepped back. As the shuttle lifted off, the dawn light washed over her. For a brief moment, she looked like something holy, an angel made of war and sorrow. Then the ground split open beneath her. A massive explosion tore through the valley, a final pulse from the bunker below. The heart of avarice had awakened. The last thing I saw before the blast consumed the horizon was Rhea standing firm, her blade raised toward the rising suns. Epilogue. The silence between stars. It's been 3 years since that day. Lyra and I drift between worlds now, always one step ahead of the corporations still hunting her. She's older, stronger. Sometimes when she trains with the small blade Rhea gave her, I see the same fire in her eyes, the same defiance. The heart of avarice never reappeared. Some say the explosion destroyed it. Others whisper that it ascended into orbit, waiting for its rightful heir. But I know the truth. Sometimes when I sleep, I see Rhea in the dreams that come before dawn, standing on the burning dunes, her armor shining beneath alien suns. She doesn't speak. She just watches, her blade resting against her shoulder, guarding us still. And I remember the first words she ever said to me. "Touch her again, human, and you die." Back then it was a threat. Now it feels like a promise.